Hello and welcome to session 5 on rounding numbers. First of all, here are the answers from yesterday's session. I did notice a couple of children had added a zero to show that there were no hundredths. When you're rounding numbers, decimal numbers, it is important not to write that zero because you're not thinking about the hundredths, you're rounding to the tenths, so you stop at the tenths. So if you have written a zero after that, please cross those zeros out. I'll give you a moment to mark your answers. Okay, and let's look at our maths meeting. We've got 5 here with the superscript 3, means 5 cubed. You're cubing a number, you're multiplying it by itself 3 times. So for 5 cubed, you do 5 times 5 times 5. And then we've got a division, divide by 100, use your place value grid to slide. Column subtraction, be careful because there is 1 decimal place on this one, but 2 decimal places here, so you can put your 0 in there to show there are no hundredths in this first number. Then we've got a column multiplication, and finally a short division. Pause the screen now and work them out. Excellent, let's carry on. Look at the answers in 3, 2, 1. The first one, we haven't done a cube number in a while. 5 times 5 is 25, and then you need to do 5 times 25, which is 125. Slid 2 places. Give them all a mark, and we'll move on to recapping what we've been learning in previous lessons. Okay, so the first thing we learned was to round to the nearest 10, 100 and 1000. So can you round this number 2894 to the nearest 10, then 100 and 1000. Pause and work those out and I'll reveal the answer. Okay, if we're rounding to the nearest 10, we've got 9 tens, 4 units, so we will be rounding down. Rounding to the nearest 100, we've got 8 hundreds, 9 tens, so we would be rounding up. And if we're rounding to the nearest 1000, we've got 2000, 800s, 800 is more than 500, so we'll be rounding up. And here's our answers. 2890, 2900 and 3000. Give those a tick. In session 2 of rounding numbers, we were figuring out what a number was rounded by. So we've got 6,382, rounded to the nearest what is 6,000, and 6,271, rounded to the nearest what is 6,300. Pause for a moment to work those out and we'll look at the answers together. Okay, and the answers are 6,382 is rounded down to 6,000 when it's rounded to the nearest 1,000. 6,271 is rounded to the nearest 100 when it's rounded to 6,300. Well done if you got those correct. On to session 3. We started rounding decimal numbers to the nearest whole number. So can you round these 3 numbers to the nearest whole number? They will not have a decimal place. Pause for a moment, work them out, and then we'll look together. Okay, let's have a look together. This first one, we've got 9 ones, 7 tenths. It's bigger than 5 tenths, so we round up, and we'd have to round up to 40 because this number 539.7 is between 539 and 540. And because we've got 0.7, we would be rounding up to 540. The next one, we've got 43.2. The 2 is lower than 5, so we round down to 43. And then we've got 43.05, and I hope this didn't trick any of you, because there are no tenths in this. There are 500ths, but there are no tenths, so we'd be rounding down still, down to 43. Okay, the next thing we learned was to round to one decimal place, random T in there, apologies for that. So we're rounding to one decimal place. This time all of these numbers will have one decimal place, will have the tenths, but the rest of it will be rounded. Pause the screen and work them out. Okay, let's have a look together. First one, we've got 500ths, so round it up to 4.3. The next one, there are 600ths, so again would be rounding up, and we round to 13.5. The next one, there are no tenths, but there are 800ths, so again we'd be rounding up, and we would round up to 2.1. Well done if you got those ones correct. Okay, let's have a look at today's lesson. We've got a couple of challenges today for our Friday challenge. So let's read our problem. Pavel has to explain how to round 3.6 to the nearest whole number. Use a blank number line to help Pavel. So we need to do some explaining for this. The way I would explain it, I'll do this one and then you can have a go at another one in just a moment, is I would say that 3.6 is between the whole number 3 and the whole number 4. In between 3 and 4 is the number 3.5. 3.6 is closer to 4, therefore I would round up to 4. I've written that down here. 3.6 is between 3 and 4. It is larger than 3.5, so it is closer to 4, therefore round it up to 4. Here's your problem. I'll read it out for you and then it's your turn to write the answer. George has to explain how to round 6.3 to the nearest whole number. Use the blank number line to help George. So in your books you can draw a number line and write your own explanation to help George. Pause the screen and off you go. Excellent, take a picture and make sure you put that onto a class dojo. Our next problem, I'll solve this one, I'll show you how I'd solve it and then you've got a similar one to have a go at in just a moment. This time Nikita has to explain how to round 1.37 to the nearest tenth. You're rounding it to the nearest tenth, you're rounding it to one decimal place. Use the blank number line to help Nikita. Okay, so this time Nikita's number is between 1.3 and 1.4. And exactly in the middle would be 1.35. Nikita's number is 1.37, which is larger than 1.35 and therefore closer to 1.4, so I would round it up to 1.4. And that written down is 1.37 is between 1.3 and 1.4. It is larger than 1.35, so it is closer to 1.4. Therefore, round it up to 1.4. This is your problem to explain. I'll read it out for you together. Pavel has to explain how to round 6.13 to the nearest tenth. Use the blank number line to help Pavel. So you can draw yourself a blank number line in your book and explain how Pavel rounds his number 6.13 to the nearest tenth. Pause and work it out. Excellent, well done. Make sure that you take a picture and upload your explanations onto Class Dojo. And finally, we've got a challenge. Have a go at this, have a go at any part of this, but if you don't get to the correct answer, remember that this is an extra challenge for Friday. I know some of you would like a little bit more of a challenge at the end of the week. So this time, Pavel needs to round the following amounts of money to the nearest 1 pence. So if he's rounding them to nearest 1 pence, he's actually rounding them to 2 decimal places. You're going to have to work alone, or see if you've got a sibling or a parent to help you to complete these. So he needs to work out half of £2.79. To find half of £2.79, you're going to have to divide it into 2 pieces. Once you've done that, you need to round the answer to 2 decimal places to the nearest penny, because we don't have half pences or quarter pences. The next part is find 75% of £3.45. Just to help you here, I'll remind you that 75% is the same as 3 quarters. So if you're going to find a quarter, you need to divide by 4. And to find 3 quarters, you need to add 3 of those quarters together. And then round your answer to 2 decimal places to the nearest penny. The next one is find a third of £14.20. To find a third, you're going to have to divide by 3. So £14.20 divided by 3, you need to round to the nearest penny, so round to 2 decimal places. And finally, you need to find 40% of £26.49. Now to find 40%, I would start by finding 10%. And once you've found 10%, you can add 4 of those together to find 40%. A reminder, to find 10%, you divide by 10. So £46.49 divided by 10, and then times it by 4 to find your 40%. Once you've done that, round it to the nearest penny, so round to 2 decimal places. Remember, this is an extra challenge. If you do complete it, I will be giving out extra dojos. Good luck with that. Bye.